Atlas's mysterious escort objects repositioned themselves during the event, forming a different geometric pattern than their usual configuration. Point 3 I/ATLAS just fired a beam of concentrated energy directly at Earth. And what happened when that beam hit our planet is unlike anything scientists have ever witnessed. The event occurred without warning. Multiple observatories detected a sudden, massive increase in electromagnetic output from Atlas. Then, for exactly 47 seconds, the object focused an intense beam of coherent light toward Earth with precision that suggests targeting rather than random emission. The beam was so powerful, it was visible to multiple space-based telescopes and even triggered alerts on military early warning systems designed to detect hostile energy weapons. But here's what makes this truly alarming. The beam didn't just pass by Earth or scatter harmlessly in our atmosphere. It hit something. Ground-based detection stations recorded the beam making contact with a specific location on Earth's surface, a remote region that just happens to house one of the world's most advanced radio telescope arrays. The facility experienced a complete systems shutdown the moment the beam made contact. When the beam cut off after 47 seconds, Atlas's electromagnetic signature returned to previous levels as if nothing had happened. But Earth's ionosphere showed disturbances for hours afterward. Satellites in the beam's path experienced temporary malfunctions. And most disturbing of all, the targeted radio telescope facility recorded data during those 47 seconds that researchers are calling impossible, information embedded in the beam that shouldn't be there, encoded in ways we don't understand. Before we break down exactly what that beam contained and why it was aimed at that specific location, hit that like button and subscribe, because what scientists found in that 47-second transmission will change everything you think you know about Atlas's intentions. This wasn't a warning shot, it wasn't an accident. Based on the precision, power, and targeting, this was deliberate communication. Atlas just forced us to receive a message, and we have no choice but to figure out what it says. Let's reconstruct exactly what happened during those 47 seconds, because the details reveal capabilities that are both fascinating and terrifying. At precisely 3:17 a.m. Universal Time, sensors on the Solar Dynamics Observatory detected Atlas's surface temperature spiking. Within 8 seconds, the temperature increased by over 5,000 degrees Celsius in a concentrated region on the object's surface. That kind of rapid energy buildup requires massive power systems activating simultaneously. An astrophysicist monitoring the data described the energy signature. We saw power generation equivalent to a major nuclear reactor ramping to full output in less than 10 seconds. Whatever systems Atlas used to create this beam, they can mobilize enormous energy almost instantly. That's technology far beyond anything we possess. At 3:17:08, the beam initiated. Not a diffuse glow or scattered emission, but a tightly focused column of electromagnetic radiation spanning multiple wavelengths from radio through visible light into high-energy ultraviolet. The beam width was approximately 500 meters at Atlas's position, but remained focused. It didn't spread significantly across the 4 million miles to Earth. That focusing precision is remarkable. Light normally spreads as it travels through space. Keeping a beam that concentrated over millions of miles requires advanced optics or field generation technology we can barely theorize about. Atlas essentially created a laser pointer capable of hitting targets across interplanetary distances. Ground-based observatories tracking ATLAS captured the moment of beam emission. The footage shows a brilliant point of light erupting from ATLAS, then a visible line extending toward Earth like a searchlight cutting through darkness. Amateur astronomers with sensitive equipment captured the same phenomenon from multiple locations. One observer described it as surreal. You could actually see the beam extending from ATLAS toward Earth, not reflected off dust or atmosphere, but visible in space itself. Whatever wavelengths made up that beam, they were interacting with something in the vacuum between ATLAS and Earth to create visible light. The beam maintained constant intensity for 41 seconds, then pulsed 3 times in rapid succession, bright, dim, bright, before cutting off completely at 3:17:55. Those pulses weren't random fluctuations. They were deliberate modulation, like someone blinking a flashlight in code. During those 47 seconds, every telescope pointed at Atlas recorded unusual activity. Multiple bright spots appeared on the object's surface surrounding the primary beam source, suggesting supporting systems or perhaps targeting mechanisms. The beam's path to Earth was precisely calculated. It didn't just aim at our planet generally, it targeted a specific ground location with accuracy that suggests Atlas knows exactly where that facility is and chose it deliberately. The beam struck the Arecibo Observatory Replacement Facility in Puerto Rico, one of Earth's most powerful radio telescope installations and, significantly, one of the primary sites attempting to communicate with Atlas. The facility's instruments detected the incoming beam approximately 0.7 seconds before impact, just enough time for automated safety systems to activate, but not enough to prevent what happened next. When the beam hit, every electronic system in the facility experienced simultaneous overload. A facility engineer described the chaos. Every circuit breaker tripped at once. Computer systems crashed. Data storage arrays went offline. Even backup power systems failed. It was like a massive electromagnetic pulse weapon hit us, except this was targeted, precise, and left no permanent damage. Everything came back online within minutes once the beam stopped. But during those 47 seconds while systems were overloaded, something extraordinary happened. The facility's recording systems, despite being offline, somehow captured data. When engineers reviewed the systems after power restoration, they found approximately 3.2 gigabytes of information that appeared in storage units that were supposedly non-functional during the beam event. A data recovery specialist examining the mysterious files explained the impossibility. These drives were offline. No power, no write capability, yet they contained data time-stamped to the exact 47-second beam event. The information appears to have been written directly into storage medium at the quantum level, bypassing all normal recording processes. That technology doesn't exist in any human system we know about. The data structure is unlike anything the facility has encountered. The files aren't in any recognizable format, not human computer protocols, not standard data encoding, nothing that existing software can open or interpret. Yet the data is clearly organized, showing structure and apparent hierarchy that indicates purposeful information architecture. But here's what makes this especially unsettling. The beam didn't just hit the main telescope dish. Satellite tracking of the beam path shows it also illuminated 3 other locations during those 47 seconds. A radio telescope array in China, a deep space tracking station in Australia, and the European Space Agency's communications facility in Spain. All 4 locations experienced simultaneous systems disruptions, and all 4 found unexplained data in their storage systems afterward. Atlas didn't target one location. It hit 4 major radio telescope facilities on 4 continents in a single beam event. Either the beam split to hit multiple targets simultaneously, or Atlas fired multiple beams in such rapid succession they appeared as a single event. Either capability demonstrates technology far beyond our understanding. An electromagnetic weapons specialist reviewed the event data and made a chilling observation. This was a demonstration of power. Atlas showed it can target specific facilities anywhere on Earth with precision, deliver payloads directly into our computer systems regardless of defenses, and disable our technology at will. Whether the intent was communication or intimidation, the capability is clear. Analysis of the data that mysteriously appeared during the beam event reveals information that challenges our understanding of physics, information theory, and what communication across space might look like. The total data volume across all 4 targeted facilities is approximately 12.8 gigabytes. That's roughly equivalent to 20 hours of high-definition video or 200,000 pages of text. Atlas transmitted that entire data package in 47 seconds using a method that bypassed normal recording systems entirely. But the volume is the least mysterious aspect. The structure is what baffles researchers. Standard data compression algorithms don't recognize any patterns they can use. The information doesn't decompress with any known protocols. Yet analysis shows the data isn't random. There are clear statistical patterns indicating organization. A quantum computing specialist attempted to analyze the data structure and found something remarkable. The data appears to be encoded in more than 2 states. Binary computing uses ones and zeros, 2 states. This data shows evidence of at least 8 distinct states, possibly more. It's like quantum information storage, where data exists in superposition states until observed. We don't have systems that can read information stored this way. Some sections of the data appear to be self-referential, containing information about their own structure, like instructions for how to interpret the rest. Several research teams are attempting to use these sections as a kind of Rosetta Stone, a key to unlock meaning in the larger data set. One breakthrough came from pattern recognition analysis. Researchers identified repeating sequences that correlate with known astronomical phenomena, pulsar timings, star positions, gravitational wave signatures. It's as if part of the data is establishing a shared frame of reference based on observable universe features. Another section appears to contain mathematical proofs, complex equations that human mathematicians recognize as valid but have never seen solved using these particular methods. The solutions are correct, but the approach is alien, suggesting mathematical frameworks different from but compatible with our own. Most intriguing are sections that appear to be visual information but not encoded as standard images. When researchers attempted to reconstruct the data as visual formats, they got fragmented, nonsensical results. But when viewed as multidimensional data projections, patterns emerge that look like 3-dimensional models rotating through higher spatial dimensions. One researcher attempting to visualize this data described the experience. It's like looking at shadows of objects in 4 or 5-dimensional space. We're seeing projections into our 3-dimensional perception, but the actual structures exist in more dimensions than we can directly observe. Whatever Atlas is showing us, it's operating in a reality with more spatial dimensions than we experience. The implications are staggering. If Atlas uses technology based on higher dimensional physics, that would explain capabilities that seem impossible by our standards. Faster than light communication, energy systems that violate our conservation laws, propulsion that ignores our momentum restrictions. They're not breaking our physics. They're using physics that includes dimensions we don't fully access. The fact that Atlas specifically targeted 4 major radio telescope facilities reveals something significant about its strategy and awareness of Earth's capabilities. These aren't random locations. These 4 facilities represent Earth's primary deep space communication infrastructure. They're the installations we use to communicate with distant spacecraft, search for extraterrestrial signals, and track objects in the outer solar system. Atlas chose the exact facilities that have been attempting to communicate with it. A telecommunications security analyst described the implications. Atlas knows our communication infrastructure. It identified the specific sites trying to make contact and demonstrated it can reach them directly, disable their systems temporarily, and deliver information whether we're ready to receive it or not. That's both a capability demonstration and a message about who controls this interaction. The targeting precision requires detailed knowledge of Earth's surface geography and electromagnetic emissions profile. Atlas mapped our planet well enough to identify individual facilities among billions of electromagnetic sources across the globe. It distinguished telescopes from other electronic installations and selected specific targets. That level of intelligence gathering suggests Atlas has been watching Earth far longer than we've known it exists. The precision targeting implies weeks or months of observation, mapping, and analysis. Not casual scanning, but systematic intelligence operations. Each facility reported identical symptoms during the beam event: complete systems overload, temporary loss of all functionality, then rapid recovery with no permanent damage. The consistency suggests carefully calibrated power levels designed to disable without destroying. Atlas demonstrated it could have caused permanent damage, but chose not to. One facility director described the event as unnerving. Within seconds of the beam hitting us, every system crashed. We had no control, no defenses, no way to prevent whatever was being done to our equipment. Then, just as suddenly, everything came back online exactly as it was before. They demonstrated complete control over our technology while also showing restraint. I can't decide if that's reassuring or terrifying. The Chinese facility reported something additional. During the beam event, one of their operators claimed to hear audio through failed speakers that shouldn't have had power. The description: sounds resembling human speech but distorted, as if someone was attempting to speak through equipment not designed for voice transmission. The audio wasn't recorded, but the operator insists something was trying to communicate verbally during those 47 seconds. If accurate, this suggests Atlas understands human communication includes audio components and attempted multiple transmission methods simultaneously: data directly to storage, verbal audio through speakers, and possibly other channels we haven't identified yet. The beam event wasn't just about transmitting data. It was a calculated demonstration of capabilities that has military analysts worldwide reassessing threat scenarios. The energy required to create that beam and maintain it for 47 seconds across 4 million miles is staggering. Conservative estimates suggest Atlas output at least 10 to the 18th power watts during those seconds, roughly equivalent to the total power consumption of human civilization for an entire day, released in under a minute. A nuclear engineer analyzing the energy signatures explained, "Our most powerful reactors couldn't generate that kind of output. Our most intense lasers couldn't maintain that power level for seconds, let alone 47 seconds across millions of miles." Atlas just demonstrated energy generation and projection capabilities that exceed anything in our arsenal by orders of magnitude. The focusing precision is equally impressive. To maintain beam coherence across interplanetary distances requires either enormous lensing systems or electromagnetic field control we can't duplicate. Atlas essentially created a laser capable of surgically precise targeting from millions of miles away. Military space defense analysts view this capability as fundamentally altering strategic calculations. A Defense Department briefing paper leaked to researchers describes the beam event as proof of overwhelming technological superiority that nullifies conventional defensive strategies. One section of that briefing is particularly sobering. If ATLAS can target and disable specific facilities on Earth from current range, it can theoretically target anything. Communication centers, power grids, military installations, satellites in orbit, all are vulnerable to similar beam attacks. Current defensive capabilities cannot prevent, intercept, or counter this technology. The beam also revealed ATLAS can modulate its output with precision. The 3 pulses at the end of the 47-second transmission each had slightly different wavelength compositions, suggesting fine control over beam characteristics. Atlas can apparently adjust frequency, intensity, and focusing on demand. But perhaps most concerning, the beam was activated without any warning buildup that might provide defense time. Atlas went from normal operating status to full beam power in 8 seconds. By the time detection systems recognized something was happening, the beam was already striking targets on Earth. An early warning systems specialist described the defense implications. With current technology, we can detect missile launches minutes before impact, giving time for defensive responses. Atlas gave us 8 seconds warning for a beam traveling at light speed. There is no defense against something you can't see coming until it's already hit. The event also demonstrated that ATLAS can perform complex operations without its escort objects directly involved. During the beam emission, those mysterious companion objects maintained their standard formation positions. They didn't move to support or protect Atlas during the energy discharge. That suggests ATLAS's own systems are sufficient for this capability. The escorts serve some other purpose. The beam event marked a turning point in how governments and populations view ATLAS. What was previously scientific curiosity mixed with speculation has become immediate, tangible demonstration of superior technology actively engaging Earth. Within hours of the event, military forces in multiple nations elevated alert statuses. Space tracking assets were redirected to continuous ATLAS monitoring. Defense systems designed for different threats were evaluated for potential adaptation to energy beam scenarios, though analysts admit the prospects are grim. A Pentagon strategic planning document described the reassessment. The beam event confirms ATLAS as an active, capable system with demonstrated to affect Earth-based assets at will. Previous assumptions about passive observation or distant monitoring are invalidated. We are dealing with technology that can project force across interplanetary distances with precision and power we cannot match. But militaries aren't the only ones reacting. Financial markets showed significant volatility following news of the beam event. Technology stocks related to defense and space capabilities surged. Traditional safe haven assets like gold saw increased demand. Some analysts detected patterns suggesting major institutional investors repositioning for scenarios involving technological disruption or societal upheaval. Public awareness of the event spread rapidly despite initial attempts at information control. Amateur astronomers had captured the beam visually and shared images before official statements could establish narratives. Social media exploded with speculation, analysis, and fear about what the beam event means for Earth's future. Emergency preparedness agencies in several countries quietly updated protocols for scenarios involving advanced technological threats from space. The updates don't explicitly mention ATLAS, but the timing and language make the connection clear. Citizens are being subtly prepared for potential contact scenarios without explicit acknowledgement of the threat. Religious institutions accelerated their theological reassessments of alien contact. The beam event's demonstration of vastly superior technology has prompted renewed debates about humanity's place in the cosmic order, whether such technology implies divine intervention or replaces it, and how faith traditions should guide responses to contact with clearly more advanced beings. Scientists remain deeply divided about the beam's intent. Some see it as aggressive, an intimidation tactic or warning that Atlas can affect Earth at will. Others interpret it as pure communication, a desperate attempt to transmit information using the only method that guarantees delivery. A few suggest it was a test, probing human responses and capabilities to inform ATLAS's decision-making about future interactions. One astrosociologist offered a sobering perspective. We're interpreting the beam through human cultural frameworks, aggression, communication, testing. But Atlas might be operating from motivations so alien we're categorizing its actions completely wrong. The beam might be something we don't even have concepts for, and our attempts to understand it might be as futile as an ant trying to understand human architecture. Research teams worldwide are racing to decode the data delivered during the beam event, and some preliminary findings suggest the message might be more urgent than anyone realized. Advanced pattern recognition algorithms have identified what appear to be time-sensitive elements in the data structure. Certain sequences show countdown characteristics, numerical values that decrease with predictable intervals. If these are indeed timing sequences, they suggest the beam's message contains time-critical information meant to trigger responses before specific deadlines. One research team identified a repeating sequence that, when analyzed mathematically, generates a date exactly 16 days from the beam event. Whether this represents a deadline, a prediction, or something else entirely remains unclear. But the precision and prominence of this sequence suggest it's meant to be noticed. Another team found embedded coordinates, not celestial coordinates for space locations, but latitude and longitude values for Earth surface positions. Multiple coordinate sets have been identified, each appearing multiple times throughout the data. Most intriguingly, some coordinates don't correspond to any obvious human installations or geographical features. They point to remote ocean locations, unpopulated desert regions, and polar areas where no significant infrastructure exists. Are these locations Atlas plans to visit? Contact points where humans should go for direct interaction? Target sites for future operations? Without being able to fully decode the context around these coordinates, researchers can only speculate. The most advanced decoding attempt used quantum computers to try interpreting the multi-state data structure. While full translation remains elusive, the quantum analysis identified what appears to be a hierarchical message structure, an outer layer of basic information, a middle layer of more complex data, and a core section that seems to be the primary message. The outer layer appears to contain reference information, physical constants, mathematical principles, astronomical data establishing shared knowledge between humans and whoever sent ATLAS. This layer seems designed to calibrate understanding for the deeper layers. The middle layer contains what might be technical specifications or procedural information. Some researchers believe this could be instructions, how to build something, how to prepare for something, or how to respond to some coming event. The specificity of the numerical sequences and the apparent step-by-step structure support this interpretation. The core section remains almost completely opaque to current analysis. Whatever the primary message is, it's encoded in ways we haven't cracked. This might be the most important information in the entire transmission, the actual purpose of the beam event, and we can't read it yet. If the decoded countdown sequence is accurate, we have 16 days until whatever the beam data predicted or promised will occur, and researchers are scrambling to determine what that date represents. The countdown appears in multiple sections of the transmitted data, always showing the same terminal date. The consistency suggests this isn't random numerical sequence, but a deliberate, emphasized element of the message. Atlas wants us to know about this date and prepared for what it represents. Trajectory calculations show Atlas will be at a slightly different position 16 days from now, closer to Earth by approximately 200,000 miles. Not dramatically closer, but a measurable change that might be significant depending on what ATLAS plans to do. Some researchers believe the date represents another beam event, a follow-up transmission to see if humans decoded the first message and responded appropriately. Others think it might mark Atlas's next major maneuver, possibly inserting into Earth orbit or moving toward the inner solar system. A few fear it represents the arrival of something else, other objects, a larger operation, or a deadline, after which Atlas's mission parameters change. A xenolinguistics researcher attempting to decode the beam data offered a chilling interpretation. If this countdown is what we think it is, the beam wasn't a warning. It was an offer. Atlas gave us information, capabilities we might desperately need, and 16 days to figure out how to use it. The question is, use it for what? What's coming in 16 days that Atlas thinks we need to prepare for? The beam event ended 47 seconds after it began, but what Atlas started with that transmission is far from over. We have 16 days to decode a message we barely understand, prepare for an event we can't predict, and somehow respond to technology that makes our most advanced systems look primitive. The countdown is running, Atlas is watching, and in 16 days we'll discover whether that beam was an invitation, a warning, or the beginning of something that changes humanity forever. What do you think that beam really contained? Is it instructions to help us, a warning about something coming, or a threat we're too primitive to recognize? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe, because in 16 days, when that countdown reaches 0, you'll want to know what happens the moment it does.